Hey, are you a business owner, real estate agent, self-employed entrepreneur trying to enter the online business and heard of ClickFunnels or Russell Brunson? Well, my name is Emiliano and I have a series for you. I'm going to read all three of these books for the second time, but this time I'm going to be documenting every chapter in a video. Hey, welcome everybody to video number 2 of the .com Secrets summary. We're going over each of the chapters of the .com Secrets from Russell Brunson, and I'm posting a video for each of the chapters, and I'm basically summarizing every chapter for you guys. The book came out like about 5 or 6 years ago. He just relaunched the book again with a hardcover, and he added like 35,000 words to it. There's 2 more books after that, which is Expert Secrets and the Traffic Secrets. We're going to get to those books in later videos. But for now, I'm starting again, rereading this book and making notes for you guys so you guys can keep coming back and hopefully enjoy these videos, okay? So today we're going to be going over secret number 1, the secret formula, okay? So Russell Brunson, the secret formula is basically divided out in 4 different steps, okay? And 2 of those steps are actually, he goes into more details in later chapters. So right now in this chapter he starts out, in usual Russell Brunson style. He starts out with a story, and the story goes a little. In this story he's talking about how one day he woke up and he didn't want to get out of bed, and it was like 11:27 a.m. and that's not his usual self. He usually gets out of bed and starts the day early. But he had already been an entrepreneur for about 5 years. He had a successful business, but for some reason he didn't feel like getting out of bed. So he says, I was wishing that I had a boss so that he would fire me and end my nightmare. I knew that what I had to face as soon as I got out of bed, and so he finally stumbled out of bed. So there was something that he didn't like, and that's why he didn't want to get out of bed. Okay, so basically what he didn't like, what he was coming to the realization was that he had been in business for the past 5 years and he had a fairly successful business. It's not anywhere what it is today, but he was, on his way, but he didn't like his customers. So that's what this whole chapter is about finding your customers, finding your tribe, okay? So he started a business. He was successful. His whole mentality was, I'll put a product, a service out there and just start getting sales right away, right? But he was not thinking in who his customer was going to be, who his avatar, who his customer base, who he was going to focus his energy on, right? So he went to a friend and he told him his dilemma a few weeks later, and his friend said, he smiled and he said, if you don't like your customers, that's your fault, not theirs. You attract your customers based on the content and the offers that you put into the marketplace. Okay? So, and then he said a line which he never forgot. He says, if you change your bait, you change your customers. So what this is talking about here is the advertising that he's putting out. Specifically, whatever you guys put out there to advertise, whatever product you're selling or service you're selling. For example, real estate agents. You just don't put an advertisement out there saying that you're a realtor and that you can list your house or help sell your house or get you a house. You want to probably niche down to a first-time home buyer, the luxury real estate. Are you targeting more like young people, newlyweds, folks with 1 child, 2 children? You need to niche down. So. And then he asked himself a powerful question that changed everything. So he says, who is the person that I really want to serve? Okay, so he's talking about how he started his software company, but he was dealing with, he wanted a customer base that was more advanced than his current customer base. So he wanted to teach stuff, but he was finding that his customers didn't even know what a URL was. And he was like getting very basic. So that's not the kind of customers that he wanted. So if you were to pick a dream customers, what would they look like, and what offers you could create to attract them? So that's what he goes about. So now we go into, remember I said the secret formula is divided into 4 steps. The first one is question number 1. Who is your dream customer? So why do I actually want to work? Who do I actually want to work with? That's what we need to ask ourselves when we start our business, product or service. So again, he goes into a story about who do we want to work with. And so he says he literally spends years, I literally spent years serving these customers, the ones that he didn't like, and it made me miserable. My family suffered, and no matter how much money we made, I wasn't happy. That's pretty cruel, right? It took years before I sat back and actually thought about who was his customer. And then I realized I had overlooked pretty important information. So he says you need to ask yourselves, who is my dream customer? What do they look like? What are they passionate about? What are their goals, dreams, and desires? What are the offers that I could create that could attract and repel everyone else? So when you make an offer, you want to make sure that you're talking to a specific individual, a specific avatar, and then everybody else that sees that ad and doesn't fall in that category feels discouraged and doesn't want to go any further, right? Because you don't want to fall into the trap that he fell into, which you have customers, but then you don't want to work with them. So then he goes on. At this time, it seemed like it was okay. So in this part, he starts talking how he started creating his avatar, and he created an avatar for a male and for a female, and he named them. He named Mike, and then he named her Julie, and he started basically pinpointing exactly what they like and what they didn't like. He actually went into Google and found images of what a Mike and what a Julie would look like. So he basically painted a picture of his perfect customer. And he goes about saying that it seemed like a silly exercise at the time. But then he says, at the time that he wrote this book, he says, just last month, I hosted a private event here in my office in Boise with 100 of my top entrepreneurs that I serve. Each of them paid $50,000 to be in my meeting. Each of them had a business that made a minimum of $1 million, and each of them were my dream clients. So in that training, he stood up and told them that he had written something about them a few years before. And he wanted to see if they could guess who he was talking about. So he said, I read out loud the characteristics of both Mike and Julie, and then I asked the audience to raise their hands if they thought that I was talking about them. And he says almost everyone in the room had their hand up. So I think this is pretty powerful when I read this. So he says a few years before, he was basically writing down who his avatar was going to be, and he got down to the nitty gritty of, even Googling an image and making a post, of them, of who his avatar was going to be. And then a few years later, he was charging $50,000 for each of his customers for a training. And he was basically talking to his ideal client. He had attracted the client that he wanted to just by changing his advertisement, who he was speaking to. All right, so then he goes to question number 2. Where are your dream customers congregating? Okay, so the question in this formula is, where can you find your dream customers? Where are they already congregating? And then he goes into typical Russell Brunson. He tells a little story, and then his little story is about how when he was in high school, it was about 5 or 6 kids that they all got together during lunch and they played a cards game, and the card game was called Magic. So if I know this game very well, and it's called Magic the Gathering, and they would congregate and play. So back then, before the internet was what it is today, if you were a marketer and you wanted, so he makes an example of this. So back then, if you were a marketer and you wanted to market to folks who were into Magic, it was very difficult because there was probably a handful of kids in a town or in a school that actually liked Magic. So back then, advertising to a specific customer was very limited by a geographical area or a town. So if you wanted to advertise to everybody, you probably have to get on TV or radio. So it was extremely expensive, and the barriers to entry were extremely high. But now, thanks to the internet, those 5 or 6 kids in the school, now they can congregate in forums or groups on the internet. So I think when I read this, I thought that was very cool. It says, They can hang out in forums and play games with people halfway across the world. And if you have a child, you all know that, you know, they get on the internet or the Xbox or the PC or PS1 or whatever that is, and they can play with, they find kids halfway across the world or on the other side of the country, and they all play together the same game, whatever they like. I'll give you an example here. My son likes to play chess, so he downloaded an app. So the only person he can play chess with in this house is myself, but that gets boring. So he actually downloaded an app. It's called Chess24. It's on my phone. And anytime he wants to play chess, he can get on that app and he'll find somebody within his skill range to actually play. It'll match him with somebody within his skill range to play. And it doesn't, you know, it has a little flag in that sometimes he plays with somebody in Spain, in Russia. It doesn't matter where the person is, halfway across the world, but they're congregating in that app. So you need to find where your dream customers are congregating. That's the question number 2. I want you to know that thinking about your congregation. Okay, so he says, so I want you to know to now start thinking about congregation as it relates back to your dream customer. Start asking yourself the following questions. What are the top websites that dream customers already go to? What forums or message boards do they participate in? What Facebook groups are they in? What influencers do they follow? What podcasts do they listen to? What email newsletters do they subscribe to? What blogs do they read? What channels do they follow on YouTube? What keywords are they searching for on Google? So you need to study all that and start putting that down on paper to find your dream customer, to tailor to that dream customer. Question number 3, what is the bait? The bait is divided in hook, story, and offer. Your bait is what you use to attract the customers. So once we know where your dream customers are, we then have to create the right hook to grab their attention, right? So the hooks are the ads that we grab their attention with. Then there's a story. The story is what we build rapport with, so with them, as well as break the false beliefs that they have, break the false beliefs they have that would keep them from taking you up on your offer. That's what the story's about. And then there's the offer, which is like basically the if you repeal the customer that you don't want, and then you make the offer to the right customer, to your dream customer. Okay? And then the question number 4 is, what is the unique result of or value that you can create for your dream customers? Okay? So let me step back here. Question number 3, we're going to study more about question number 3, because question number 3 is broken down into hook, story, and offer, and that'll be secret number 2. So in the next video, we'll break that down a little more. Now, in question number 4 is actually secret number 3, so that's going to be in the following video. So question number 4 again is, what's the unique result or value that you can create for your customer? So the result or value is not what you're giving them, it's not what you're actually selling them. It's not the product or service you want to sell them. A business is not a product or service. A business is about the result that you can get your client. So he talks about, imagine that your client could pay you anything that you ask for and get the desired result. What then would you do to help guarantee their success? Where would you lead them? What does this place look like? Keep that in place in mind. It's the pinnacle of success for your client. It's where you want to take them. So he talks about this in a later chapter, and it's basically delivering a result, not so much selling a product or a service, but delivering a result. And that, my friends, concludes chapter number 2, or the secret number 1, which is the secret formula. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have a few links in the description. I have a course for real estate agents to help you guys get your ads out there. Use some of Russell Brunson's proven formula to create funnels and create advertisement. I have a link in the description as well for the book. And if you guys, again, if he has 3 books, if you guys want to purchase the book, I suggest you just purchase all 3, the bundle, and you'll get a 4th book with it as well, so you guys can take notes and basically study the process. Not just read it, but actually make notes and study your process. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.